Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the session today. Well, Belcom X said, education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. Also, Bill Gates said, technology is just a tool in terms of getting the kids working together and motivating them. But the teacher is the most important. Rightly said, I'm sure all of you agree, technology will not replace great teachers, but technology is in hands of great teachers and can be transformational. Having said all this, let me welcome all of you once again. Today we have an exciting session coming up, but before that, let me also introduce Mr. Dr. G. Tangadurai, who's not only a distinguished educationist and the director principal of Presidency Group of Schools, but also a seasoned administrator, a prolific writer, eloquent speaker, and a commendable teacher, who was proudly awarded the prestigious National Award in 2002 for his contribution in the field of education by the former President, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Dr. G. Tangadurai has also been selected as one of the best 50 effective principals of 2020 by an esteemed jury panel for his contribution in the education field. His honor is being given for displaying the exemplary trait of sincerity, dedication, and hard work. Under the guidance of Sir, Presidency ranks number 3 in Indiranagar zone under the category of national curriculum. And of course, the list continues. I would now hand over the session to him to let us know about today's workshop.
Today's topic, as you all know, is how can we prepare grade 10 and grade 12 students for the term 2 examination. As you all know, term 2 examination is going to be a final examination. Now, the question is how? There are three critical words, and that is what we do, how we do, and why we do. I think we would be covering all these three critical questions. What we do generally is that now that the pandemic is almost getting over and students have started coming back to school, what we do is we started the classes, the in-person classes. Now, is this enough? Is this good enough? Is something that we need to analyze in today's deliberation. How we do, yes, we have various strategies. Every institution has different strategies. And I'm sure that every institution will have its own innovative and creative approach to solve the issues of after the after effect of the pandemic, 21 months of pandemic. And in these 21 months, there has been a lot of learning loss. Children have lost their social skills. They they did not have enough physical activities. They were confined in a room for quite a long time. And then they had all the family together, father working from home, mother working from home. The other members of the family, probably they are his brothers or sisters, are also studying online. So there was a lot of constraints under which these children have gone through for 21 months. What is the after effect of this? It is said that when someone in the family falls sick, Are the normal routines and arrangements affected? And then the deeper problems that lay hidden under comes to the surface. Under the momentum of routine life, we are exposed all the issues, and that is what happened when pandemic struck us. Pandemic has revealed that society and the state institutions had, to a great extent, had to ignore the conditions under which the family copes with the demands of the childhood. Children and schooling in the post COVID 19 era. Our students of grade 10 and 12 will have to confront a bit of facts if we want to prepare what I would say a recovery plan of any credible and practical value. Several recent surveys shows that pandemic has left the entire system ravaged. Teaching switched wholesale to online mode, leaving it to the family to cope with the demands hidden in the medium. The vast majority of the children from the lower socio-economic background could not access online teaching for reasons totally beyond their control. And among those who did have access to online lessons, rates of comprehension and progress were very slow. Studies show that academic losses are compounded by emotional problems. And here is where our speaker, Dr. Lokesh, a clinical psychologist and educationist, will throw her thoughts and her opinion on how to prepare the students for the examination. A survey carried out by a foundation called Bipla has traced the kinds of stress children experienced at home: exposure to domestic violence, prolonged hours of in front of laptop, and addiction to digital sources of entertainments are among the various outcomes of COVID-19 confinement. Now is the time for recovery after an ailment. The entire globe as a family was under the pandemic. Now we are at the stage of a recovery plan, a systematic recovery. Systematic recovery will undoubtedly prove arduous. The time required for recovery will depend on imagination and resources. And there are various committees that are being set now to see how a 3 years curriculum can be drawn as a recovery plan. And one of them has been R. Ramanujam, who is now working on it, to see how a major problem can be confronted, like addictive effect of the prolonged online teaching. Devices such as smartphone induce children with seductive bond and may not be easy to shake off. Restoring children's innate desire to relate the world physically, socially surrounding them, a major step towards educational recovery. COVID experiments of exclusive dependency on digital machinery has resulted in a radical expansion of its market. Now we have a lot of digital devices with educational inputs available in the market. And they are working for very innovatively to find out how best they can intervene to in this recovery plan, where the teachers would be facing a huge challenge in the class after 21 months of confinement at home. I think here it is also permitted the digital activities to mutate into an ideological doctrine of progress. They are going to be a hindrance into the ideal doctrine of the progress, but at the same time, they are going to come out with innovative approaches to see how this ailment, this recovery plan can be resolved. We are now persuaded to listen to child psychologists and teachers of students, and that is where Mrs. Lokesh will come in to help us to understand how this could be resolved. Child psychologist voices, though feeble, they are at present offer the best promise of healing our injured system. So, this evening, we have a principal of a school, Dr. Upasana Yadav, principal of Army School, Bangalore, who would throw light on how to prepare the students post pandemic against the challenges that we have discussed. As an HOI, the head of the institutions, how she would be gearing up the machinery to prepare the students within the limitations of the time. We have seen the first term, how the outcome of first term has been. Now with 3 months left, with little bit of uncertainty over whether there would be a subjective examination, and if COVID does not get resolved, and in fact the situation becomes worse, then they may even cancel the second term examination, and the first term examination results will be reconciled with the internal examinations, and the results will be announced. So there's a lot of uncertainty against this. What is the principal has can do? And then we have Mrs. Snehalata Vijaykumar, a very senior educator who would pitch in to tell us how, as a teacher, because it is said in the doctrine of pedagogical leaders that a teacher contributes to about 45% of the learning outcome, the principal contributes to about 25% of the learning outcome, and the rest is by the parents, the society, the management. So, what is her endeavor? What is her approach in resolving this issue? We would have the pleasure of listening to her. Then, of course, we have Dr. Lokesh. She is being a clinical psychologist, and not only that, she is also an educationist. She would throw light on, as I said earlier, the psychological, how to bring out the children and bridge them with the academic platform. And finally, we would be having Mr. Paneer Ramalingam, as the CEO of Fast Stage AI. AI is artificial intelligence, and he is here to share how technology could help as a intervention in reinforcing learning, in making learning a convenient as well as a learning as a fun, because children will have to come out of the fun of games and other addiction that they had, and how education can be made equally interesting. So with this introduction of these four distinguished speakers, we are running short of time, and we would request the speakers to make it as brief as possible. Then we would have a small, a slight deliberation on the thoughts uh, presented by our speakers. And towards the end, we will have a concluding remark. In the process, we will also invite some questions from the participants. May I now welcome Dr. Upasana Yadav to take the floor. Dr. Upasana Yadav, she is a biotechnology from Sri Venkateswara University. She started her career as a lecturer in Department of Biotechnology in Charan Singh University, worked as a lecturer for 6 years. She was a vice principal of Sherwood Public School, a very renowned school in Suratgarh, and Army Public School, Binaguri, for 4.5 years. Now she is heading Army Public School, ASC Center and College, Bangalore since 2017. I welcome Dr. Upasana Yadav.